well, through those 4 companies, I've learned a lot of things, made a ton of mistakes. So I'll try to share some of those lessons learned through these companies. I think the very first thing I would say is you need to decide, kind of what Justin was saying, what kind of business you want to build. A lifestyle business, or you're trying to go big, right? A lot of times entrepreneurs come to me and they say they want to build a big business, and big business being a $1 billion market cap business, right? And the problem with building that kind of company is generally you have to raise a lot of money, because if it's a big opportunity, there's going to be competition, and the competition is going to come from the US. And as you know, US competitors raise a lot of money to build businesses. An average B2B software company in the US raises $100 million, right? So that's not for everybody. All the companies I've been part of have gone down this kind of $1 billion route, and you start raising capital, and that's not a lifestyle that everybody in the world wants to lead, I should say. So I always tell people, lifestyle businesses can be just as good and fun, and you can make a lot of money. You don't have to go down the $1 billion, market cap kind of business route, right? And before you make that decision of taking capital, you got to make a real personal decision. Are you going to build a niche business that focuses on a geography or a segment of a market, or are you going to go down this VC route and start raising capital? You got shareholders and board members that Justin talked about, and you got to deal with these fun cats for the rest of your life, right? So, that's a big decision, and before you take $1, you should decide which street you're going to go down. And you can do well on the lifestyle business, kind of model, and you can do well on the large market cap model. If you decide to go down the big thing, the next big decision you got to make is who you're going to accept money from. And there's a lot of bad VCs. Unfortunately, I've had a bunch of them on my board. So, and not at Scribble. At Scribble, we picked a lot of good VCs because I handpicked them. But if you make a bad decision getting the wrong VC to invest in your company, that's something you're going to have to live with, and it's not fun. And the way the VC world works is, as you guys know, there's people that invest in A, B, C, D, and E, and so on. And the good VCs lead you to the next good VC, right? It's like a club. The A players lead to the next A player, to the next A player. But if you get a B player or a C player, it's going to lead you down kind of a bad, streak of investors. So, be very careful on the VC you bring into your business. Make sure you do as much due diligence on them as they do on you. And the best way to do that, the way I've done it, is talk to CEOs that they put money in, the other businesses, and talk to ones that failed as well. Not the ones that knocked it out of the park, because everyone's happy when it knocks it out of the park. But all of us that run companies know that we're going to have some speed bumps, right? There's no way you're going to always kill it, no matter how good you are. And during those speed bumps is when the true color of a VC comes through, right? How do they help you through that? How do they work with you? And you'll find the good VCs know how to deal through speed bumps that we all have. The bad ones start to overreact, and they can really hurt your business. They can hurt your scaling. They can destroy your life. They can do a lot of bad things. So, and by the way, just because they're, Kleiner Perkins or somebody big in the US doesn't mean they're good, okay? And it depends a lot on the partner. So do your due diligence on the VC, really study them, make sure that they're the right style of person and they share the values that you share, would be my big advice on going down the big company route. But before you decide to do that, make a real decision that that's something you want to do, because running these businesses, as we all know, takes up a lot of our time, our lives, and you're going to be spending a majority of your life with these people, right? So that would be my advice. Thank you. Question? Oh, sorry.
What's your criteria for choosing a good investor?
Yeah, so my criteria has always been to check with other CEOs, and normally ones that had some speed bumps. So if you check with a CEO that knocked it out of the park and everyone was happy, that's probably not a good check, right? check for one that had to go through some, ups and downs, and how did the VCs react during that. That's the one that will tell you a lot about the characters you're about to, partner with.
So less on previous experience as it pertains to your industry?
Yeah, not necessarily your industry, right? Because all these industries are changing like the wind, and so it doesn't have to be relevant to your space, but we all know running tech companies that we're not always gonna, everything's not always gonna be up to the right? So how did the VC deal with scenarios that had a little dip and then we had to go back up again? And how did they react to that? I focus my attention on that. Now the guys that I brought into Scribble, I've raised 55 million for Scribble. In capital, I've probably raised around 400 million. So, I've tripped on the ones that aren't so good during those periods, right? But the ones we have at Scribble, I've already had a background with, so I already knew what they were like. But if you don't know a lot of VCs, check around, right? Just do due diligence on them.
Thanks.
Hi. If it's not too personal and without sharing any names, can you share a horror story that you had with a VC?
You want some horror stories? Oh God, I got a lot of those ones. Yeah. So I mean, the ones that I didn't love were ones that overreact to market changes, right? So when we were at Pivotal, we were early days CRM, and that's when CRM was just kind of a new concept, and we were scaling nicely. And what happened there was, I was always kind of a EBITDA guy, trying to make money as well, right? And I got Kleiner Perkins in, and some of these fun guys from Silicon Valley. I thought it was great. I got the best VCs on the planet on my board, right? But what happened back then was every single tech company was burning money, like a lot of money, like 2 million a month, 3 million a month, right? And I didn't want to burn money because just my style was like that. So a couple of my buddies who had the same VCs decided to listen to them and start burning, grow at all costs, right? Then NASDAQ got hammered. We were public too, by the way, at the time. And because I ran a break even, I had $100 million in the bank. We absorbed it, no problem, right? My other buddies, their companies went under because they were burning so much money. You can't reverse that quickly. Like you got 1,000 people. We had about 1,000 at Scribble. At Pivotal Scribble. We have 200 at Scribble. And it was easy to absorb that change in the market. The other guys couldn't absorb it. They had infrastructure, facilities, people, and they went bankrupt, right? So listening sometimes to that kind of mentality could get you burned, right? And so that's kind of the worst scenario because you're on NASDAQ, you got lawsuits, you got class actions, you got a lot of issues they were dealing with. We didn't have to deal with that.
One more question.
It's because I didn't listen to him.
One more question, a bit more positive, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right. My question is, like, for businesses that are just starting off, when do you know that you have done enough research and you have all the data you need to bring your product out to market, and you spend time actually developing that product? So, like, what's a good balance?
When do you know when you have market for your product?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? At the end of the day, if you've got a big idea and a big product, you're going to have US competition quickly, right? Like if you've got a little advantage, it's not going to be a long advantage. You know that. So if you've built a product and you've seen no competitors, you may not have a market, right? So just, I always hear people say, oh, we got this big advantage. Well, it's going to last a week because if it's big, somebody in the US is going to put money at it. So the way I look at it is I ask a lot about competition. And if the answer is, well, we have no competition, and I go, okay, is there a market? Are you sure? What's your revenue? Well, no revenue. Okay, he starts to kind of go in a circle. So, to me, if it's big, you're going to have competition. And you'll know you have something big because a bunch of US competitors will come in very quickly.
And then after that point, sorry.
Yep.
And after that point, it's about execution then?
Yeah, no, it's all execution. Software, like there's nothing more than execution. Your idea advantage lasts a week. Like it doesn't last, right? It's all execution. Thank you.